Hello again, everyone. Marhaba to all our brothers and sisters around the world who would like to know more about the Palestinian situation in the territories, Gaza, Jerusalem, all over. I'm Dr. Jack Dempsey, an American writer and historian living in Crete now, and my friend is Muhammad Ismael. We've been close friends for about 2 years, has a beautiful family struggling to live there. And we just believe between us that we're doing whatever we can, whatever little thing we can, to keep discussion of the Palestinian situation alive, ongoing, and in front of the world as much as we can manage. We always say one other thing up front in these especially difficult days. Please do take the time to contact your own government representatives. Demand that they change their policies that now blanketly support Israel in its conduct of apartheid, racialism in Palestine, the occupied territories. These things must change. It may now be the Palestinians' only hope. They are not even allowed to have their own new elections. So we have to reach in and somehow help them. Mohammed, hello. I know this has been a terrible week in Gaza. Anywhere that you might like to begin reporting to our friends around the world this week is fine with me. And in our first attempt, which failed because of computer problems, which are not unusual between us, you in Gaza and me in Crete, we began to talk about the visit of a jihadi leader in Iran lately that may have begun the terrible series of events that have brought so much harm to Gaza, so far away, with no benefit whatsoever. If you'd like to try to begin anything, tell us about what you've seen, what you've heard during the attacks, and how it's been since then.
Thank you, brother, for this new opportunity to meet again with people, with the friends, followers from all over the world to tell them about what happened here in Gaza. In fact, in the recent few days, we had a fierce air raids and some sort of fight in this narrow piece of land in Gaza Strip. Unfortunately, we paid a big cost. We have too much people became homeless. They lost their apartments, their house. More than 50 people were killed. Hundreds were injured. Electricity, water, roads. We have a big destruction in all of these sectors. People here, some of the people became angry, responding to the attitude of Islamic Jihad chairman who declared the war on Israel from Tehran, his ally. Some people are believing that Islamic Jihad and its chairman are puppets and toys in the hand of Tehran, and they believe that they are not fighting for the sake of the Palestinian case, but they are working for an Iranian agenda in the Levant.
Mohammed, let
Uh,
me let me interrupt you just to clarify one quick question because you said so many important things earlier today. Many of the people in the world would think that Iran would be eager to help the Palestinian cause. But instead, what they do does not help the Palestinian people at all. Is there some recent history that goes back to when Iran and the Palestinian people seem to separate?
Yeah, in fact, the relationship was very old. If you want to dig to find the roots of the Islamic revolution in Iran, which was led by Ayatollah Khomeini, this revolution, which took place in 1979, was supported strongly by Arafat, the chairman of PLO. PLO used to help the Iranian rebels with weapons, with training, even financially, even with media. But after that, Arafat found and discovered early that Iran want to take the Palestinians aside from their Arabic atmosphere, from their Arabic family. They wanted the Palestinians to be agents for Tehran. Arafat after that used to cut the relations with Iran, and he used to support Iraq in the war against Iran. Unfortunately, the Islamic Jihad and Hamas, the political Islam parties nowadays, doesn't learn the learned lessons from Arafat experience. I think this is the problem. They should learn from the learned lessons.
So do you mean that, for example, or if I'm wrong, please tell me, Iran, the government in Tehran, would prefer to keep the Palestinians a not settled issue? They want to keep the Palestinians as a problem in order to hurt Israel? Is that correct?
They want to use the Palestinian cause just a weapon in their hands, just to make a pressure over Israel in order to take some advantages, to establish their atomic program, to be a superpower regional country. So I think they are using the Palestinian cause only to make a pressure over Israel. I believe that Iran is not and was not an enemy for Israel. If you want to go back also for history, I think all the people who are watching us, they are invited to read more and more about Iran Contra or Iran Gate scandal. During the Iraqi war, the 8 years war, Israel was supporting Iran with weapons through Cyprus, through Larinka airport. So many flights was taking off, carrying weapons, carrying explosives to Tehran. So I think we are invited, all of us, we are invited, in fact, to read more and more about Iran Contra or Iran Gate.
Okay, so again, the Iranians then, you're saying, are definitely building a bomb, according to your best information, Mohammed, from all the things that you keep up with and informed on. Iran is building a bomb, and is it as a deterrent to prevent other people from invading them? Is it a way to match the fact that Israel has many nuclear weapons? What is that about? Iran wants to keep a problem with Palestinians going, you're saying, to hurt Israel. Is that right?
Yeah, Iran want to buy more time. They want to buy time, and they want to keep Israel busy with its neighbors. So from time to time, they are making some clashes in the surrounding of Israel. Sometimes by Hezbollah, sometimes on Gaza front by Hamas and Islamic Jihad, also sometimes through their troops in Syria, the Iranian troops in Syria. The Iranian agenda is to make Israel always under pressure, and is to make Israel busy with its neighbors. In the same time, Iran want to take a benefit from this time to do its atomic program. So I make you all the time busy in guerrilla war with your neighbors, and I want to take benefit from this time to do my program.
Well, I would like to point out that according to people the caliber of Noam Chomsky and other people who analyze the international situation based on official documentary sources and so forth, Iran, and they're not being facetious, Iran would be crazy not to build an atomic bomb because it might be the only thing that over time would prevent Israel and the United States from militarily attacking Iran. I'm only reporting something that many people have said. But for us today, Muhammad, the damage that was done by the jihadi person in Tehran announcing that he felt that they should be at war with Israel, this has brought so much suffering to Gaza. Can you tell us more about the connections or about things that you in Gaza have experienced? You said your house was shaking from the bombings and your family, your children managed to sleep through somehow, which is kind of a miracle. But tell us anything else that you'd like to share about what's happening in Gaza because of the policy statement in Iran.
I think that Iran is doing something out of logic. I think Iran should suppose to plan such a war not with a weak and destroyed and exhausted people like Gaza. I think they supposed to plan such a war with a country like Syria, with other countries in the region. I cannot imagine how Iran is designing such a war with exhausted people. The biggest majority of them are lying under the poverty line. There is no balance. There is no balance. All the time we are we are taking the big loss, and Israel doesn't register any losses. Our rockets, our primitive rockets, which Islamic Jihad used to launch during the recent war, I think they are not effective rockets at all. They doesn't achieve anything because they are primitive, they are weak rockets. I think Iran used to do this only to be like a media campaign against Israel. So Iran is doing a selfish mission here in Gaza. They want to make the world angry against Israel, and the price will be the bloodshed of the Gaza
Right.
children.
Yes.
So they want the Gazan children to be killed, and they want to keep Israel busy with the universal media and universal public opinion.
Yes.
I think it's a selfish way of behavior from Iran.
Now, we were talking last time about something else that's connected here, and another huge question that baffles the minds of the world. And that is to say, when we look even this week at what has happened in Gaza, the children bleeding from their heads being carried away from a destroyed building, the ambulances falling into shell holes in the roads. Why does the world look on this and say nothing and do nothing and care nothing? I told you that in the United States, there's a big block of voters who call themselves adherents or readers of believers in the Bible. And nobody wants to alienate those voters, even though they could not necessarily save you in a national election, but they do not want to take the chance. And so they sacrifice the Palestinian people for an idea of the Bible for themselves. And the irony is that they are notoriously, these people, anti Semitic. They do not like Jews, shall we say. And they hope in their hearts not for the return of a 1,000-year kingdom of peace on earth. They hope for the end of the world when all the people that they do not like will be punished by Jesus Christ, who comes back after all the destruction and makes all well for them. Can you imagine how misleading this idea is when we try to think about what has to be done to save the Palestinian people in this situation under an apartheid that is killing them at will and with impunity? Why, in your opinion, does the rest of the world look on and do nothing and say nothing, Muhammad?
Unfortunately, first of all, we have a double standard policy conducted by most of the Western countries. They are watching, just keep watching. I think the Palestinian blood is priceless, according to them. If you want to ask me about why they used to kill the children in cold blood, I will guide you and take you to the Old Testament to see and to read some parts from Old Testament, from the book of Joshua in particular. I think they are taking the legal the legal proof from Joshua book when he used to demolish Jericho, Ai, Lachish, etc., and other cities in the ancient Palestine, in the ancient Canaan. I think all the people know that our blood is priceless, according to the Israelis and to the Western world. If you want to speak about Bible give them the green light to do this. If you want to speak about the contemporary universal policy, you know that there is a big double standard policy being adopted by most of the countries.
And I know as a scholar myself of these documents and books and traditions that that is correct, first of all, and that when some person, perhaps called Joshua, or the other kinds of Israeli invaders became the rulers of the Canaanite and Philistine lands, they used to make a statement where they said, "You goyim, you people that we consider two-legged animals," that's the meaning of the word goyim, an animal that walks on two legs, "you have a choice. You can die, you can be our slaves, or you can leave the land. But we now rule this place. You can die, you can be our slaves, or you can leave." And this is to me the same choice that, well, not even the choice that Palestinians are facing. They have no choice but to suffer and starve and suffer more.
Yes, yes, exactly. Uh, in one part in the Old Testament, I think the Lord was saying to Joshua the following: "If you conquer this city, kill the children, kill their children, kill their girls, and even kill their animals." So I don't know
Yes.
why also animals should be killed. It's a very very bad, brutal, and barbaric way. I cannot imagine why this savage way. Unfortunately, today we have the same policy. When they used to make an attack, an air raid, a war, they used to kill everything: the women, the old people, the elders, the children, also the animals. Every war you have too much dogs, cats,
Yeah.
donkeys, cows, sheep are
Yeah.
being killed. Yeah. So you have to kill everything. You have to kill everything. Yeah.
And this is taught in the schools. in Israel
Exactly.
and in America.
Exactly.
This is taught as authentic history that is to be respected and not questioned and even imitated. These are the people that we have chosen to imitate, to follow in our thinking, and they make it possible for our living minds to think that this is okay. We just look away and pretend that it is not happening, even though it is a direct result of our doing nothing.
Exactly. Exactly. This is what happened. Yes.
Well, I wonder if there's anything you'd like to add for this week, Muhammad, about the situation in Gaza, what you hear the Palestinian people in Gaza talking about as to what happens now, etc. I know that as soon as a person in Gaza finishes their one dinner or meal for the day, they begin to think about where am I going to find the next one? And you have a family to support. I just have to ask you if there's anything else you want the world to know about this week.
People of Gaza, the majority of Gaza people are having nowadays a big belief that they are victims for the regional competitors who are using to compete with each other over
Mm,
the Palestinian blood.
mm,
Uh, they, they believe that they are victims for a dirty game, for a dirty game. In this game, all the competitors use to compete to do their competition over the poor and exhausted Palestinian people of Gaza. So most of the people here are frustrated, are unhappy. In such a days, all of the world are making holidays by the seaside, by the beaches, to just to lay under the sun, to take the sun warm, and to do barbecue, and to eat good food, and to drink nice drink. But the people of Gaza are unlike that. Here in Gaza, people are starving, are suffering from lack of medicine, lack of electricity. They are suffering from the continuous assaults and attacks from Israel. So I don't know how can we make a comparison between those poor people of Gaza and the other people who are living in the other parts of the world. There is no justice.
and
There is no justice at all. There is no justice because people here in Gaza are have not are haven't any kind of good life.
and Mohammed, just as a small addition to that, we've talked before about the basic mathematics of the Palestinians in Gaza's situation. Because if Israel happens to allow 200 to 250 trucks full of food and supplies into Gaza each day, then you divide that by 2.5 million people, half of which are children, you have a mathematical answer of 12,500 people or so having to be fed off of one truck. This is not possible. This is a regime of diet that Israel has decided that is enough for you to all eat day by day. People are becoming sick, weak, in every way, suffering consequences from these denials. And it shows the world that, again, you've just told me you've been out of electricity, no electricity for over 2 days now since the attacks. Apparently, they damaged the generators that give Gaza its power, which is a great insult and damage of harm to most Palestinian people. Why? No one knows. But America goes on blessing it. So we'll have to close with our usual reminder to folks, Mohammed, that we ask them to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to write, email, call their own government representatives and to change the policies that allow this to continue. We can no longer, as human beings of the world, allow this to continue. Anything you'd like to say, Muhammad?
Thank you, brother. As you just mentioned, I invite all the people just to try to write to their representatives, to their authorities, to their parliament members, just to try to make some sort of impact over them, just to ask them to rethink again with the Palestinian cause, to look to the Palestinian suffering, especially in Gaza. I think this is a moral and a humanistic mission everybody all over the world should do. Thank you so much.
Muhammad, you said it so well with rethink. Think again about this, brothers and sisters. Think again about what's happening to these real people, these real families, and please lift your hand to do something. Muhammad and I thank you so much again for listening, and we will see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you.